In the small town of Maplewood, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, stood an old, abandoned hospital. The building had been unused for decades, its windows shattered, and its walls lined with whispers of the past. For years, the locals avoided it, claiming it was cursed, haunted by the spirits of those who once walked its halls. But in the early 2000s, a group of urban explorers dared to venture inside. What they experienced defied all logic, and even today, people speak of it in hushed tones. The hospital had once been a hub for medical care, a place where lives were saved and families reunited. But after it closed its doors, the stories began. Rumors of ghostly figures, unexplained noises, and shadows lurking in the dark corners spread like wildfire. Still, no one dared to investigate until that fateful night. It was a crisp autumn evening when a group of 4 friends, led by journalist Emily, decided to enter the hospital. Armed with only flashlights and an insatiable curiosity, they knew the risks. The decrepit building seemed to pulse with an unsettling energy, as though the very walls held secrets they weren't meant to uncover. Inside, the air was damp and heavy. The group moved quietly, the creak of their footsteps echoing eerily through the corridors. They explored room after room, capturing the decay with their cameras, forgotten medical equipment, faded patient charts, and peeling wallpaper that seemed to sag in despair. It wasn't until they reached the 3rd floor that things began to shift. The temperature dropped abruptly, causing shivers to run down their spines. Emily paused, her breath visible in the cold, and whispered, "Do you feel that?" Suddenly, a faint moan echoed down the hall. It was low and guttural, sending chills through their bones. They looked at each other, faces pale and eyes wide with fear. There was no logical explanation for the sound. The windows were all boarded up, and the building had been abandoned for years. As they moved forward, they found a door at the end of the hall, ajar. Hesitant but compelled, they entered. Inside was a room lined with empty beds, each draped with dust-covered sheets. The silence was deafening, but the presence was palpable. The group's flashlights flickered briefly before dying completely. In the pitch black, they could hear whispering. Soft, indistinct whispers that seemed to come from all directions. The temperature dropped further, frost forming on the walls as if the very air was freezing them out. Panic set in, but they couldn't move. Their feet felt rooted to the floor. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a tall, shadowy silhouette, eyes hollow, face obscured. The group couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. They were paralyzed by terror. The whispers grew louder, more urgent, until a voice, faint but distinct, hissed, "Leave." Without realizing how, they stumbled out of the hospital. The moment they crossed the threshold, the whispering stopped. Their flashlights flickered back to life, and the oppressive atmosphere seemed to lift. But the memory lingered, haunting them long after the night ended. The next day, local historians claimed the hospital was built on ancient burial grounds, a fact long forgotten by the town. Many believe the spirits of the dead refused to leave, bound to the place where their final moments were spent. And while the old hospital stands as a crumbling shell of its former self, the stories continue to live on. A chilling reminder that some places should never be disturbed. To this day, no one has returned to the hospital. Those who have attempted to enter have vanished without a trace. The whispers still echo through its empty halls, waiting for the next brave soul to uncover the dark secrets hidden within.